Hey everybody, it's Anthony Perosi and Vincent Perosi, my son. We're here in the backyard. It's at our home in San Pedro, and we're just kind of continuing a conversation we had together in August of last year about Vincent's journey playing baseball and his experience living in the South, and then what's next for him. So, Vincent, why don't you give us kind of a brief, just kind of overview of what you experienced in the South, why you were there, and what you gained and what you learned.
Yeah, I'd say the South was really cool. What led me there was baseball for sure, first and foremost, and then over time, I kind of learned that as I was out there, I was growing in faith, especially like learning more about my faith and how to lead others in that. And it's kind of continued me into like future endeavor of being a focused missionary, which is going to be really cool. And the experience out there was really awesome. It was really cool. It was something I didn't expect going into it to learn so much from it, but it's really good to be home.
Yeah, so just to catch everybody up and recap. So during COVID, Vincent came to me and Carolyn, my wife, and said, hey, you want to start playing ball again? So we reached out to a good friend of ours, Lefty Olgin, and said, why don't you go play at Compton? He did a year at Compton. This was after he finished his bachelor's, by the way, for you folks that are, pushing for baseball right out of high school and all that. This journey was a little different. So Vincent finished his bachelor's at San Jose State. Of course, during COVID, wanted to play baseball, ends up at Compton based on the advice from Lefty. That leads us to play in the summer in Palm Springs, which led him to meet a young man that introduced him to a coach that was from Point University, Georgia. We never heard of Point University.
Yeah, never heard of Point University before that, and it was actually you that kind of made that initiative to say, okay, where are you going to play this summer to kind of get looked at. And because I had been at Compton for a year and got a good amount of innings to where, I showcased my talents, and that's sort of what led me to go to Point University. And it was just a bonus, too, that they had a grad program, which is really cool. And finishing that up, it's a sense of accomplishment and feels really good. Because starting off college, I know we talked about it, I didn't really enjoy it. I wasn't in the right frame of mind for sure, and now that I've finished my master's degree for a kid who really didn't want to even continue pushing, but through you and mom and of course Antonio and Luca's support, it's got me to where I am today.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so that's why I bring it up to some of the parents watching regarding baseball or any college sport. You never know when it's over and when it's going to start again or whatnot. It really is going to be up to your child to really drive where they want to be. So when Vincent said he wanted to play baseball again, we were like, wow, that'd be great. So the other thing was you fought injuries last year. You actually couldn't play your first year while you were at West Point, Point University in West Point, Georgia. But your relationship with your coach at Compton gave you an opportunity to play last summer in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, Kentucky was really cool, and that's why it goes with just making connections with people, right? And always being friendly and talking and learning, right? So the previous year, like you said, I made friends with my assistant coach who coaches in Kentucky in the summer, and he ended up calling me up after a year at an NAI and said, hey, you wanna play ball with us this summer? And because it was a level up, the previous summer I had asked him already, but he said, typically guys get sent to me and things like that with experience and all that. So it does go to show that you never know where your road might lead, right? Talking to him helped a lot the previous year, and then a year later he's asking me to play for him. So Kentucky was really good experience. It was in the middle of nowhere, but it was a blessing because I just grew in faith and grew with God and my roommates and a lot of good guys that played on that team. Going to what you said earlier with the injury, it was tough too, but I would say that's where I buckled down in faith as well, because I no longer had that thing that I identified myself with as a baseball player. It was more than that, and realizing what God gave me and how I can learn more about who I am more than just an athlete, which actually ties into where I'm at now, because I'll be working as a focus missionary with athletes, which is going to be really cool to kind of lead them towards who they truly are, because athletes can be, highly valued on campus and looked up to and all these things, but truly, like, who are you as an individual? Who did God create you to be, and not just to the abilities that you play this sport,
So let's before we go deeper into your next step, while you were in Kentucky, I wasn't able to come out and see you play because I had surgery last summer. I didn't realize the recovery was going to take me all summer before I could fly, but it is what it is. Mom and I watch you play on TV and stuff.
Yeah.
But one of the coolest things I thought you did was you pitched off the mound where they filmed A League of Their Own.
Yeah, I did.
And I thought that was so cool.
It was.
The pictures and everything. Why don't you talk about that? And we were blessed to be able to watch you because they broadcasted that game on, I think it was on YouTube. We watched you. So talk about that whole experience, knowing that movie was made there. It was an old stadium, wood frame, all that stuff. Talk about that.
Yeah. So I actually didn't know that that's where we were playing until the day before. And our host family was like, yeah, so you guys are playing at League of Their Own Stadium where the movie was filmed tomorrow. And I was like, really? Like, no way. And started looking it up and stuff. And when I got there, it was really cool. I started taking pictures everywhere. Like, this is where this is filmed. They had jerseys from the movie and the dugouts. I mean, everything is the exact same, obviously. And just a super cool experience to be on set and feel like you're in the movie. And as far as like playing the game, I had to close it out. So it was like I was a closer over the summer, and my patience just had to grow because like sometimes you just want to get in there, get it done as a pitcher, do well, and go sit back on the bench and watch some baseball. So I was blessed with kind of a yin yang of both. Like I closed twice there. One time I closed it out and everyone went home. We won. And then the other time I got walked off. So I got both sides of it. And they happened in that order, so I closed it out. I remember FaceTiming you and Mom and how happy I was and took pictures and all this stuff. And then the next time I got walked off and I had nothing to do but just to stay still right there. And it was weird because I almost enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy the losing part, but just looking at all the fans, it was just a different perspective of like, look at how happy these people are. This game doesn't matter. I wanted to win, and I didn't succeed at that, but like everyone's going crazy. Their team was running like right at me, so I just had to stay still. And I was like, what an experience, to get walked off at this stadium and only imagine how it must feel for, the pros in like World Series and like how much more it must hurt. But in that moment, I was just like, well, it's a game that doesn't matter, and it's an experience to be grateful for no matter what. So.
Yeah, when you say it doesn't matter, you just mean because it was summer league.
Yeah, summer league.
Yeah.
Of course it mattered. Like I wanted to win, but it meant in an aspect of like on record, it was to get my reps in and experience get more reps in pretty much.
But that's baseball, right? It's people don't realize sometimes it's a percentage game. So if you're batting, 300 or let's say 400, which is rare, but let's say 300, you could become a Hall of Fame hitter.
Yeah.
And that's only hitting the ball 3 out of 10 times.
Right.
Because it's so difficult, right? So, but that's baseball, right? The ups and downs. One day you're closing it out, the next you're getting walked off.
Yeah, totally.
So that's why the game's so beautiful at times, and it could be exhilarating and hurt all with the period of one day, so one game. So, so you finished that out. I think you came home for a little bit, and then we. That's when we took our great trip to Naples, watched Napoli win the Scudetto, the championship in Italy, and then that was before. And then you went to summer.
It was before.
And then after that, you went back down to Point University, living in Lynette, Alabama. And so you also fought another injury before the end of the year.
Yeah.
So how'd you get through that? And then, where did you end up? Which team did you talk about your experience of which team you ended up pitching on and the experience you gained and the friendships you made and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I'd say first and foremost, getting through the injury was similar to the first one. Injuries for athletes are never easy to get through. You just kind of have to buckle down and persevere through that. For me, it's been the expansion of my faith and learning more. I actually started going to Mass down in Auburn and met a community of people and surrounded myself with like-minded individuals, made friends out there, and that support team really helped me get through a lot because, I'm out there by myself, no family, and it's good to make friends and be around people that are similar to you and have like values. So that helped out a lot. And then after really getting through that, I was told that I'd be placed on the junior varsity team to see how well I did and pitch. And like after not pitching for 7 months in live game, it was a little tough. I got beat up pretty bad in the first game, and actually first pitch home run in my first game back.
And we were watching that one live too.
Yeah, the guy actually made that announcement that you guys were watching. He said Vincent's parents I wonder if they're still watching, and then it was a deep fly ball to right field and home run. So it was a funny way to start off my first NAI outing. And then from there, buckled down, got locked back in and realized what was happening. I was like, all right, I got to prove myself, and started doing well, but ended up that the varsity team's kind of been succeeding, doing well this year, which, we want them to and want them to win. They continue to play, and it just wasn't a roster spot for me. So you came out, and I had my last college outing, which was really, really cool to have you there. And then actually ended up the last game you were going to be at got canceled. So the previous game where I pitched 2 innings, threw up 2 zeros, and it was a 7-inning game, got a win. We ended up walking off.
A win and a save.
And a save, yeah. So it was cool. It was a cool way to end it. And I have a lot of people asking me, like, oh, so you're done? Like, you quit baseball and stuff? I'm like, I didn't quit. I finished, I set out to give it the best of my ability, and just body's not keeping up, wasn't throwing as hard as I felt like I should be to get to the next level, and I faced the realization that it was time to let it go. I'll probably continue to keep playing in like some intramural, something like that, but you gotta be okay with where God has me right now, and I am okay with that, and looking forward to what's next.
So you finished up at Point. Got to spend Easter with us, which was great. They finished up the season, I think, this week for the JV team, and then you finished your master's like a month ago. So you were done early, which was good. And then, so your next phase, so let's talk a little bit. So when I went down there, it was great. We had a good time. I got to see you pitch. We took care of business with the lease and all that fun stuff. We got to go to Auburn, watch NCAA game with Auburn playing, I forgot who they played.
I think it was Yale.
Yale, that's right.
In the first round.
They lost to Yale in the first round. I had Auburn, I think, going at least to the Elite Eight. I can't remember. And but it was just fun experiencing that on the campus at a local. Actually, it was like a golf simulator bar or something.
Yeah, it was a golf simulator bar. Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah,
a lot of fans there, and so no, it was just a good experience. And then we got to go down. So I wanted to go see Selma, walk over the bridge. We did that. We went to Montgomery. We saw the Rosa Parks where she got on the bus. All that stuff was really cool to go see that the civil rights history there. And I knew it was going to be it could have been our last time there. And then we saw the Tuskegee Airmen Museum. That was all cool. Something I wanted to do a year or so ago, but things happened. So we made it happen and got it done. So now you're home. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about, this whole, describe what Focus is, what that means, how you ended up wanting to become a Catholic missionary. Just talk about that journey. You started with Seek, so January 1st. Talk about that and how it's led you to Focus.
Sure. Yeah, I thought about it previously when I was was going to go to Seek as a conference that they put on at the beginning of the year, so that from the 1st to the 5th, everyone's spending time at Mass and adoration. And
who puts on Seek?
Focus does, yeah, sorry.
And what's Focus stand for?
Focus stands for Fellowship of Catholic University Students.
Okay.
And they started out at Catholic universities. They've expanded to other universities as well. And so what I'll be doing is I'll be a missionary, and I'll be assigned to a college campus. This upcoming May to June, I'll be receiving training at Ave Maria University, and I think in the second week or so, they'll tell me what school I'll be going to.
That's down in Florida.
Yeah, all the way out on the East Coast, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, so my job really is to evangelize in the ways that God calls me to do that, and I haven't received training, so I'm not sure in what ways specifically they want me to do so. Um, but it's something that I feel like I've been called to already in my life, being out in the South, learning about the different things that go on out there, like different denominations and things like that. I just want people to understand where we come from, because I think we get misunderstood a lot as Catholics, and I feel like that's why God called me to do this. So I had personal experience with that, and now I get to grow and do it for a living. Yeah.
So that's going to be how many years is the program? The training you said was how many months?
The training is a month from May to June,
Mm-hmm.
and then it'll be for 2 years. And when I get done with that, I'll be coming back home to fundraise the salary that'll be helped, basically like sponsorships from people to help me through those 2 years.
Okay. So
Yeah.
the cool part though is through your interviews they've kind of targeted you for Varsity Catholic. So kind of explain the difference. There's focus, and then there's, they look at who's coming into the program, and they have different branches for you. Yours is Varsity Catholic. They're going to target you. Explain that a little bit. You said it at the beginning of the interview, but explain it a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. It's Varsity Catholic is athletes specified, like specifically athletes. And what I'll be doing is there's one of two things. I'll either be somebody that's kind of in like a Newman Center environment area or in the church, lay it off a little bit and seek out which people are the athletes that are there and see how I can branch off and bring everyone that is in that scenario that is an athlete on campus and wants to come to the church and be involved and be at mass and things like that, but also lead by example while doing so. Or I'll go directly to like coaches and say, hey, I'm Vincent Perosi, I'm a focus missionary, and how can I help your students? What do they need? And is it okay if I like speak out to them about what I do? I'd love to connect with them and see, if they need an environment to feel safe in and things like that in the church, and whatever I'm called to do in that moment, in that scenario, with especially the training that I haven't received yet quite on the specifics. But yeah, I'll be working with the athletes at the university that I'm assigned to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, the experience down in Auburn was amazing. There was adoration on a Thursday night, which is, for many who've gone to college or been to parties at colleges, Thursday's kind of the kickoff of the weekend, because a lot of students go home for the weekend, and so Thursday seems to be the night for a lot of college campuses to have that, pre-weekend party. And when we were there, we went to adoration. You can Google that online, what that means for us as Catholics. But we walk into this small chapel, and there's 50 students in there. And by the time we got done with Mass, there was probably 100. And the whole time I'm thinking, well, not the whole time, but I start thinking, boy, when I was at Cal Poly, Pomona, this is the last place I would have been. And I was either working, coming home late, and all my buddies were already 2 sheets to the wind, and and already partying, and then I'd start partaking a little bit, not too much, but my point is that here we are sitting on the campus of Auburn University. There's 100 kids at adoration, and then going to Mass, and then getting together after and having dinner together. And I thought that was amazing. Right. And you found this group kind of late towards your journey down there. So describe that, how you found them, the church you were going to, and all of that.
Yeah. First, I just got to say, I was in the same situation in college, too, at San Jose State. And those are some of the last places I thought I'd be, too, and had my focus on other things, right? And but as far as, like, finding this community of Auburn students during last year's Advent, which is in December, I wanted to go to Mass every day. And so I started here. I started out there, and I looked up, Catholic churches in the area, and St. Michael the Archangel Catholic Church in Auburn popped up. I even went to one in Opelika, which was St. Mary's, and then I had already gone to St. Peter's up in
LaGrange.
Yeah. And so yeah, I gave it a try. I was like, you know what, I'll go check this out. I'm going to mass every day. It was a 6 p.m. mass, and as I'm heading down there, the sun setting beautifully. It was a good feel, and get down there, and as I walk in, they're pulling out Jesus of the Monstrance after adoration. I had no idea that they had adoration. I was just showing up for mass, and I get in the pew, and everyone's singing, and it's just so beautiful. I mean, a lot of men and women just singing the song of adoration, and I start to cry because I felt like I had arrived at an environment that I truly felt welcomed without having met anyone yet. And so I kept going to that church, that parish, and I found out that they had a separate chapel for Tuesdays and Thursday nights, which is where a lot of it's mainly students in that area, because they even have a little center where they can hang out. They got ping pong, pool, and foosball, all this stuff, and they even have Father Peyton, who's out there. He would give like speeches and lessons about little things that I've learned about later on and down the line. And yeah, so it started out by going to mass every day and finding new Catholic churches in that area, and God gave me a good community out there for the time that I was there, and it lasted until I came back here. And then you got to come and meet some of the friends that I met. And
So I was impressed with all of that. All right, so let's just kind of take this this home here. So you're going to start here in next year, or I guess at the fall. In the fall, you'll get your training. What do you expect, or what are your hopes on this journey? I know it's one of those things where you didn't know you were probably going to land here, and now you're here. So as you look forward, what are kind of your hopes of this next phase, next step in your journey?
It's a great question, actually. I don't know if I expect anything, and I think that's where I lie right now, just in life in general, to not expect anything, plan for sure, try and have a plan, but know that it's always going to change, and just let the Lord's will be done, and know that He's in control of it all, and give it up to Him. Like when I found myself trying to take control of things that are going on in my life, they don't go according to my plan. And that's been a blessing, because my plan is nothing compared to God's. So just following Him and submitting to His will for whatever He wants for me and my soul, so I could get to Him.
All right. So with that, as a parent, for all you parents that may be watching, the journey never ends. I always like to say we're like, as a parent, watching Vincent and my other boys and their journeys. They're all different journeys. They're never going to be the same. I always just tell them to keep their faith in the center of it all, and walk towards Jesus and not away from Him. And and it's really up to them, and we can only guide them. But these other journeys, whether it's through their professional life or people they're going to go out with, the goal is to always stay in clear communication with them and guide them, be the lighthouse, so as they go and chop through the seas, they always know their folks are there when they need them, and be those bumpers. I always like to say those bumpers when you're a kid and you're bowling, right? Throw the ball, but you're always trying to guide that ball down into hit the pins. But just be that guiding light, and always be there for them whenever they need you, and give them sound advice. And this has been a great journey, and I look forward to the rest of it. So proud of you, and congratulations, and
Thank you.
And we'll follow up again. So with that, we're gonna end this and say thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you.
We just wanted to follow up on Vincent's journey. There'll be more on this edition of the Anthony Perosi Inspiration Motivation channel. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
God bless.